that's what it really comes down to. You want to build a strong culture, you got to lead from the front. There's no hoping that the team just takes charge and runs. You have to set the precedent. You set the speed. You set the cadence. You set the direction that you guys move in. And without that, it is extremely difficult to get a team bought in to what you're wanting to do.
Hello guys and girls, Anatoliy is here. Welcome to the podcast. And today I have a special guest for you who is going to help you out understand how to manage your company, especially if you are the agency owner. He is having an amazing experience and his name is Joshua Johnston, and he was a part of the company which is called Willing Media. He been there as a COO, and from 2018 to 2020 he was optimizing the systems and infrastructure to support the company to grow, implement all the systems to multiple seven-figure results in the revenue, and plus managing over 25 teams by implementing exactly those kind of systems. And Josh founded recently the HYDRA training for the same agencies, owners like me, to help them out with the optimization of their profitability and the workflow. So Josh, what's up? How's your day?
Doing awesome, Anatoliy. I really appreciate you having me, and appreciate the very kind intro. You did a great job explaining that. So beautifully done, but excited to be here, excited to be chatting on the famous Anatoliy podcast. I'm stoked on it.
Appreciate it, Josh. Josh, I was really finding out for myself, like we know each other for quite a lot. I mean, already like for almost a couple of years. And I always heard from people how great Josh in terms of what he's doing. Organization, optimization, systematics, the process of everything what's related to the agency side. And I really want to hear what was the story behind of the Willing Media. I mean, what kind of impact have you made it and how that helped in the acquisition process?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess I'll kind of take the story back as I entered into Willing Media for the first time. So I got hired on as the chief operating officer immediately into the agency. And how the conversation went with my partner at the time was he's like, hey, I'm starting this agency. We've got a little bit of traction. At that point, we were doing $25K per month in the agency, which was like, cool. Like that's a good amount of money, for someone that has never made money before. So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Like, it seems like you got some good traction. He's like, I want you to come on and be my COO of this agency. I was like, that sounds amazing. I don't know what a COO is or what that even stands for, but I'm in and let's do it. Let's ride. And so I actually moved across the country to start this agency. And we got traction relatively quick. And for me, a lot of the pieces, that I learned along the way are kind of self-taught. I've always been extremely diligent when it comes to just learning my craft. I've never been one to adapt to things quickly or learn things quickly. It is more of a brute force. I'm going to make myself learn things, especially if it pertains to business and our ability to generate revenue for the business. So put a lot of time and effort into understanding what it means to be a COO. It's funny. The first book that I picked up it's called How to Be a COO. And it's so funny because it was written for manufacturing companies. So that was the first look at operations. So it wasn't for service-based businesses. To this day, there's still not a lot of books and operational books around being a COO for a service-based business like a digital marketing agency. So there was a lot of learning curves that I had to have early on, and a lot of pieces that I felt were very difficult to get past, only because there wasn't really a guide to do it. There wasn't really mentorship to do it. I mean, as you know, the agency space is extremely young. And so back in 2018, when I started, everyone else was trying to figure it out as well. I mean, all the agencies that you look at today, like your 4Medias, your Structured Socials, your Right Hook Digitals, all of them were doing, a lot less revenue than they are now and have less systems infrastructure. So those are the people that I turned to kind of learn from. But for me, there was none of that when I first started, right? So very self-taught journey when it came to becoming a COO, and kind of found out a little bit later that I actually wasn't the best COO mind. I just forced it, and for me, a lot of our success revolved around culture and building a strong culture versus being extremely systemized or building out a strong operation, which we had those things in place. But looking back now, it could have been much better. But where we won was a very strong team alignment, a very strong team vision, and a culture that people were really bought into. And that's why we succeeded in our agency and why we grew so fast was because of that alignment and because of our ability to push a culture. And now that you go to more events, you go to see some of these agency owners speak, what's one of the first things that they talk about? Well, it's culture, it's core values, it's vision, right? Aligning the team. Yeah, aligning the team under one roof and being able to all row the same direction at the same speed, at the same trajectory. Like that's what people speak on now. And it's one of the most pivotal pieces of running an agency. And luckily, that was something that we implemented very early on. And then, success kind of followed.
That's awesome. And when you start implementing, it was that just easy? I mean, because obviously we are speaking about something which is vision and core factors of the culture, but it's easy to speak. What was your first experience to implement?
Yeah, so it's simple in concept, hard to implement, right? So culture is built through consistency. So if you're not consistent as the leader, it's never going to apply to the rest of the team, right? So if you show up late, that opens the door for the team showing up late, right? But if you show up early every day, right? And well, people see that. Well, Josh is here before everyone else is here. I wonder why that is, right? Then they start giving that little extra effort because they want to model the person that they look up to, right? And that's what it really comes down to. You want to build a strong culture, you got to lead from the front. There's no hoping that the team just takes charge and runs. You have to set the precedent. You set the speed. You set the cadence. You set the direction that you guys move in. And without that, it is extremely difficult to get a team bought in to what you're wanting to do. So if you have a vision, if you have core values, you have to preach them daily, right? You have to live them out. And that's the only way to build a strong vision. So it sounds easy in concept and it sounds simple. And it is simple in concept, but the execution, the action that you have to put behind it on a daily basis and be so consistent. And I learned this from a mentor of mine. If you guys don't know, Judge Graham et al. Would highly recommend taking a look at him. Has had multiple agency exits, has run massive teams. I'm talking teams of, 400 to 500 employees. But one thing that he always talks about, and I can picture it to this day, him pounding his hand like this of, you have to be rhythmic inside of your agency. Everything has to run on a rhythm and the team has to align with that rhythm. But it starts at the top because the CEO, the leader, is setting that rhythm. And if it's not rhythmic, if your team's not aligned with that rhythm, they're going to fall off, right? And you're going to have people that exit the company and it's going to hurt your culture and your vision. And you guys are going to move at a slower pace. But if you can find that rhythm, it's going to be way more effective, right? And so that's what we search for. We search for this rhythm, and it's kind of a pie in the sky type analogy, but it's truthfully what it is. If you can find that rhythm and you can get everyone on the same wavelength, you guys are going to move faster.
What kind of, by implementing such kind of vision, culture, and all the, I would say, spiritual things into the team, what kind of struggles have you noticed?
Yeah, man. I mean, here's the thing is not everyone's a great fit for your culture. And that's the most difficult part. As you continue to scale, your problems become less about things like lead generation, less about systems actually working. It becomes a people problem, right? I would say as you get moved past 7 or 8 people within an agency, because at this point you're starting to build out levels to the agency. You're probably putting in some management structures. You're starting to pass off some of your direct reports, and your managers now have to lead people. So, in my opinion, the biggest gap that we see with a lot of our agencies is going to be that leadership structure and your ability for your leaders to lead people, right? Because before it was just the owner, right? The person that is bought in the most leading the charge. Well, now we have to get the people underneath the leader and the management teams to lead other people. And that's the most difficult part. It really comes down to getting great people installed in the organization that are aligned with a vision and core values.
I would tell you, it's really the hardest thing, especially the right leaders in the particular departments. Like he could be great on something, let's say in media buying, but at the end, he's not a great teacher. I mean, the mentor or manager or how we can call that. And that could destroy all the culture. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's funny that you say media buyer, because this is something that you'll see often in a lot of agencies, that you have excellent media buyers. I mean, they are just incredible at their craft, but they're not very good leaders, right? And so sometimes you have to take the person that is a little less skilled in the craft, but is great at leadership, great at communication, great at getting the mission and vision across that you guys are trying to push forward, and utilizing, your top tier athletes or your top tier media buyers as just, essentially pieces of the organization that are going to do a job, but there's not a upward management lane that they can fall into, right? They have to be able to kind of just do their job at a high level, and then other people have to come in and support that through management and through leadership.
What guys would you do, like, for example, especially if the agency doesn't have office, so the culture obviously harder to build on the distance, and how do you because I know that you're dealing with several agencies out there right now. I'm really wondering what's the solution in this case, and about the hiring, what would be the best process for the hiring? I believe it's the super valuable information.
It's difficult, right? When we were running our agency, we were completely we had an office. We had a 10,000 square foot facility that we ran out of, and it was a ton of fun. I mean, everyone really enjoyed being in an in-office culture. So it is a little bit harder to build an out-of-office culture, a remote culture, which means you just have to put more attention towards it, right? You have to do like the really cool things. In my opinion, like For Media is the great example of this. They do everything from parties to like cocktail hours to yesterday it was Eddie's Eddie's birthday, and he like a bunch of people sent in videos to roast him that were on the remote teams and stuff. Like, that's building culture remotely, and that's one thing that For Media really has figured out, is that remote culture of getting that buy-in even from people overseas. But it is literally consistency and just keeping it top of mind that we have to pour into our people. We have to do these things for our people and make this environment fun, even if they're not here in the office with us, right? So it's consistency.
What would you suggest to the person who has, let's say, agency? Like, most of us entrepreneurs who starting from scratch has no money to hire the 8 talents, and or just like, they have even no clients. They just started their agency. How would you recommend them to hire the hiring process when they have limited budget, couple of clients, but obviously understandable, if you want to scale, you have to hire. What would be your steps and your recommendations for such kind of size of the agency?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing: is people hire for essentially different reasons, and as you increase in capacity, a couple things that you kind of want to look at as you're hiring. I'm a big fan of just hiring for inefficiencies, right? So if there's something that I don't enjoy doing as an entrepreneur, chances are I'm not going to do it at a high level. So let's use sales, for example. Say I just don't like doing sales calls at all, but I really enjoy working with my clients still, and I really enjoy doing other aspects of the business, but I just despise sales. I just don't like getting on sales calls. Well, chances are I'm probably going to try and find someone to take the sales calls off of my plate, right? Same thing with fulfillment, right? I'm going to try and get someone to take fulfillment off my plate if I don't enjoy that activity and I want to do other things. So I'm going to try and fill those gaps first and then hire someone accordingly. Now, as far as budget goes, when it comes to hiring people, like you have to make sure that there's a budget in place. And it's funny, I actually talked to Nick Shackelford about this the other day. He asked me the question, how do you manage your ability to hire people through different growth phases in the agency, but feel comfortable with hiring people, right? Especially very early on. Yeah, it's very difficult to kind of project into the business. And so there's a few things that you need to take into consideration as you're looking at your first hire. One thing is going to be your contract lengths. How long are your contracts? How much runway do you actually have? And this is a really key point if you ever want to get your agency acquired as well, is they're going to look at your future cash flows, right? And your ability to produce cash over a long period of time. If you're only on month-to-month agreements, well, what happens if, and this is a worst case scenario, but what happens if all your clients leave you in the next 30 days? All that cash flow dries up. But if I have a 12-month agreement with a client and I know that that contract is worth $150K, right? For a 12-month agreement. Okay, well, I know that there's future cash flows coming in and I'm going to get paid on a monthly cadence. And I know at the end of that 12 months, I will have received $150K, right? And so with that being said, that's the same approach that we look at when we're hiring as well, is we have to be able to project our future cash flows and know that there's a runway of money coming in that will support that hire. And if that's not available for you and you still need help, well, one, we need to take a look at the agreements. I think one of the biggest misconceptions in the agency space is that people won't sign long-term agreements. I mean, we've signed Fortune 500 type companies in our agency that signed 12-month agreements. So these are very real things that people will sign. It's just, you have to practice. You have to get good at it. It's a craft, just like anything else. And so when you're hiring that first person, having predictability in the business is one, going to bring you peace of mind, but also going to allow you to hire that person and feel and actually have the cash flow to do it appropriately. Now, if you're in the position of I need help now and we don't necessarily have, these longer term commitments in place, well, that's where you might want to reach out to, a contractor, a 1099 employee. And as, you see these increases, you can increase their workload, right? And you can essentially bring them on by the hour versus bringing on a full-time employee. A full-time employee is a commitment, right? They sign on to be a part of your company, to be a part of your vision. And so when you do that, I see that as a major commitment. And my word is bond that I'm going to take care of and support this person, right? As they come on as a W-2 employee. A 1099 contractor, hey, it's a handshake agreement for this length of the project. We're going to work together, but say this project dries up and we're not able to keep this client anymore. Well, hey, we brought you on to work on this client. This client's no longer here. There is an understanding on both sides of the party that, hey, if this client leaves, there's no more work. And so that just means you're not going to be working for that business anymore as a contractor. So start with contractors as needed, kind of fill them in. And then as you have more predictability with your cash flow, then go ahead and bring on your W-2 employees. Long-winded answer, but hopefully that helps.
Yeah, no, actually, it's kind of deep explanation, especially about the different kind of employers, which is like someone who is going to be staying permanently and someone who is coming just for the project. But in terms of clients, like signing for 12 months, first of all, it's the greatest decision which company could make it, because you can predict the consistency for the year. In terms of cash flow, it's really important. As a business owner, I can tell you, it's we were hit a lot by that, by putting a lot of projections on one project, and after that we just were screwed up because client decided to leave for XYZ reason. And in this kind of things, you hiring the person, and for example, client is not following the contract, or we have to, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to calculate with kind of extra gaps so that this kind of team member gonna be able to, let's say, manage 5 clients. So when the one is leaving, it's not the catastrophe. Then if you do not put the prediction of 5 clients, you just put him in 1. And after that, if client is leaving, you have to cover the salary and all the stuff on your end by yourself. But if you are making projection of, let's say, 5 plus client on his end, then you understand that whatever it happens, you still cover it in terms of the other projects. Am I right? Or
100%. Yeah. And that's, as you add more layers for a great example is like a media buyer. So as you add more media buyers to your roster, obviously they support and manage a group of clients, right? Whether that's 5 to 5 clients as the perfect example there. And so if a client leaves from that piece, you still have some support from the other clients, and then hopefully you can land a new deal to fill that slot back up. 100%. That is what we look for across our media buyers. And normally it only takes one client to really support a media buyer. If your retainers and your pricing structure is set up correctly, it should only take one client to support a media buyer and their pay. And then anything extra, it kind of comes in as a more profitable piece of the business.
The correct price points. I mean, price per structure. Yeah. Tell me, please, a bit more about your training on the HYDRA. What exactly you're doing there? I remember you're partnering with Nick. I'm not
Correct.
really remember if only two of you were partnering there.
Yeah. So Nicholas and I are partnering in HYDRA, and we've been doing it for about 2 years now. And HYDRA is a consultancy. That's what it really boils down to. And what we do within our agency, we're operational consultants. So for us, we don't just do like one aspect of the business. We cover the entire operation when it comes to agency. So we consult on anything from lead generation, which is a very common type of consultancy that you'll see in the agency space. You'll see a lot of people that will, hey, like this is how you generate new leads for your business, right? And that's normally where they stop. And that's a majority of the consulting firms out there, and a lot of the coaches that you'll see out there. They'll teach you how to get more leads and how to bring more business in. Cool. Like totally understand that. That should definitely be a part of it. But that's one very small piece of the pie when it comes to running an agency, right? So we consult on lead gen. Okay. That's definitely something that we do. We consult on sales. So our ability to take those leads and turn them into paying clients, right? We consult on fulfillment. So our ability to run our fulfillment, whether you're running a creative agency, whether you're running website design, development, whether you're doing ad buying, and we help systemize and optimize those specific activities and those specific fulfillment activities for our clients to help them squeeze more efficiency out of each and every single one of their people so they can bring more profit to the bottom line. And the key word there is, of course, profit, right? And then we also help with things like HR, so tactics on hiring the best players for your team. And then as well as finance, we do financial modeling for a lot of our agencies to make sure that they're bringing in profit and keeping their operating expenses in check, and that they're not drowning themselves with things like operating expenses and new hires, and making sure that the financial side of the business is very sound, because there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that are coming into the agency space right now. And not all of them have, great financial backgrounds where they've been taught how to manage business finance well. And so we'll bring in some of that as well, and just make sure that we are running a profitable, growing agency month over month, right? So that's essentially what we do.
In this case, give couple of, if it's possible, couple of the examples on agency is there making, let's say, 50K a month, having 5-7 clients, 4 employers. And what would be your suggestion for them in terms of structure, in terms of systems, if you come and see and doing consultancy for them? Let's say they have this kind of clients, consistency is there in terms of cash flow generated for this kind of group of clients with such kind of employers, but they are not, let's say, using CRM, they have no really HR because it's quite a small company. What's your vision? What's going to be the step-by-step guidance for the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, great question. So normally an agency that size, the 50 to 60K per month agency, we're going to come in and do a full audit of their agency top down. So those 5 lanes that I had mentioned, so lead generation, sales, fulfillment, HR, finance, we're going to come in and we're going to kind of peel the onion back or essentially take a deeper look at those 5 specific operational lanes and find the inefficiencies in each of them. From there, we create customized plans, and every agency is different. Every agency has slightly different problems. They're at different stages. They have different employee structures. So everything is, for that side of the business is customized and tailored specifically for that agency's problems. And so what we do through this audit is we uncover a lot of the problems and a lot of the inefficiencies through this audit process that will allow us to increase capacity of each of their teammates, that will allow us to increase profit. And then, hey, if it's a lead generation thing where we're not getting enough leads in, awesome, we'll install new lead gen opportunities for them to fill their pipeline, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's, paid ads, whether that is organic content, right? We have, multiple different ways that we can attract new leads into a service-based business. So with that being said, there's a ton of different routes and a ton of different problems that we're solving on a daily basis for agencies, which makes it super fun, because for us, we're not solving the same problem every single time. We're solving a multitude of problems, which can be a little complex at times, but for us, everything is kind of tailored specifically for our clients It's not like a templated process that's like, hey, like go apply this and like you're just going to magically be successful. It's just not how it works. Everyone's business is different. You got remote teams, you have non-remote teams, you have people that have a really strong culture, you have people that have no culture at all. You have people that have great lead generation, people that don't have great lead generation. I mean, the problems are vast and numerous, but at the same time, we've solved a lot of these problems when it comes to our own agencies that we ran in the past. So we help them essentially put the same infrastructure that we had in place.
Listen, now I have, according to that, really interesting question, like related just to my interest. It's exactly about the lead gen. If the company has a bad lead gen structure, not even the structure, like just lack of the good lead gen, what's going to be your steps? Like, do you have any kind of past experience which you can just point out to and share how it has been managed?
Yeah, so on the lead gen front, you really have three opportunities at lead generation when it comes to running an agency or really any service-based business. Okay. The first one is going to be paid ads. Okay. So paid ads is definitely a route that a lot of agencies go. You see a lot of agencies run paid ads for their business. But here's the thing with paid ads. One, you have to have a budget to be able to do that. It's not cheap. You have to be good at marketing yourself. And you have to have, you have to have a decent amount of proof that you can do what you say you can do, right? And so that's what it kind of comes down to on the paid ad side. If you don't have those things, if you don't have cash, which if you don't have leads, chances are you don't have a ton of cash to throw at ads, right? If you don't have that, then chances are ads aren't just going to be the thing that works for you. So normally what we do, if people are struggling with leads and cash flow, we start with either a cold or an organic approach when it comes to generating leads. So we are really excited about LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn has been a great source of lead generation for our clients. And so our recommendation is if you want to do this effectively, start with one profile, get the sales navigator, send 25 in-mails and connection requests a day. If you do anything more than that, LinkedIn kind of flags you and could potentially shut down your account. So we always recommend 25. As you scale that up, you'll kind of notice, oh man, like we're getting some book calls from this. And normally it takes for our clients, normally like 7-ish days to book their first call if they're doing exactly our process. And then from there, what we do is we recommend launching multiple profiles. So for example, like in our business, our consulting business, we have 4 profiles running. We have 2 male profiles. We have 2 female profiles. Female profiles tend to get a little bit better response rate than the male profiles. So hence why we run female profiles as well. And so we're sending over 100 connection requests a day right now within our LinkedIn, and then 25 in-mails. And the message that we send out is it's very low pitch, but essentially the way that the message is kind of sent out is, kind of noticing that they're in a very similar space. We might ask them some sort of open-ended question, and then at the end, we'll try to get them on a call with us or have them book a call with us for like an audit session, right? Which is a very common thing to do in the agency space as well. So we send a lot of those. We get a lot of no's, but you got to get used to that, especially on the cold side. You're going to get a lot of no's, but the few yeses that we do get, it's really effective. And this week, for example, we have 15 book calls specifically from just LinkedIn itself, right? The other avenue that we like to go is organic content. Twitter is a really incredible space right now to generate leads from, as well as LinkedIn. We do a ton of written content on there. And then from there, we do things like resource drops. We do, free materials, free growth guides, whatever it is, right? We'll throw something together. We will put it sometimes in a funnel and collect emails off of that. And then we also have a newsletter that we get a lot of people plugged in. So, for us, like our Twitter has led to us being able to grow a newsletter of about 1,300 agency owners. And so we utilize that newsletter and we haven't really tapped into it yet. We'll be tapping into it relatively soon, but now we have 1,300 emails of agency owners that are in our newsletter that we can continue to send marketing materials to, that we can continue to send free resources to, and build more rapport with. And then eventually, we'll have an ask in there to, run an audit session to, for them to get some help. A lot of them, we have their phone numbers as well. So we can call them and directly get in touch with them and see if there's anything that we can help with at that time. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, but the one thing that I will tell most people that are wanting to ramp up lead generation, consistency. You have to do a lot of it. Okay. That's what it comes down to, especially on cold. Cold is all volume. So if you're not sending at least 100 DMs a day, it's not going to be very effective. And there is a ramp up to it. It's hard to ramp up to that volume. So do 25 to start and then continue to ramp up, get a VA in place. VAs are relatively cheap to put in place and run it for you. And then on the organic side, once again, you're just playing the consistent game. You have to have a long time horizon. I've been doing a YouTube channel. I've been building Twitter. I've been doing all of this stuff for now like 2 years, and we're just now seeing the fruit from it. So you have to be consistent on it. I think last month was our first month that we have ever landed a client from Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Right. After 2 years, we finally in 1 month we landed one from each. Right. So that's the type of consistency that you have to have when it comes to organic content. You just have to be okay with people not watching your stuff or not seeing your stuff for a very long time, but do it for 2 years in a row and then come back to me and tell me if it doesn't work.
I can confirm that it is exactly the way. I never figured out yet LinkedIn, but I will tell you about the Facebook site. Back in 2018, when I was started my own stores, e-commerce dropshipping stores, I was just sharing my journey, and I was sharing all my screwed ups, because there was only screwed ups. There was no success.
Yeah.
Like half year only screwed ups, and how I believe in the process, and I believe that it work out. And when it start working out, I start sharing 1K, simple results, but it was impressive for people who were out there. And when I was start sharing 150K a month results, that's where like it's almost a year past. People start asking me, hey man, can you help me out? Can you teach me out? I mean, I agree with you. It's the way to go, consistency. Because I was every single day was delivering updates, what's happening in my life.
And that's what I love. I love that one piece. That's a really good add-on that you said there of share your journey. Don't tell people what to do, right? Share your journey and what's working for you. People respond much better to that than you saying, hey, this is what you guys should be doing to be successful. When at the end of the day, it's like, our success is very minimal compared to everyone that's extremely successful out there, right? So I'm a big fan, and this is something that Alex Hormozi does a really good job of just sharing what has worked for him, and people can take that any way that they want. They can implement it themselves, or they could say the sky's kind of full of it and kind of move on from it, right? So you get much less hate and people respond to it better. You get better traction when you're talking just about your journey and what has worked for you, and people like it, I think, a little bit better.
And I believe that as well that LinkedIn is a powerful tool. Everyone is telling me exactly the same in the past 1.5 years for sure, that LinkedIn is something which is people are undervaluating, that it's a huge tool for connections and getting the great clients and just great network. But are you doing any kind of consistent posting on the LinkedIn on those 4 profiles, or just reaching out to the several people from each profile?
Yeah, so on my profile, yes, and my partner's profile, yes. Not on the 2 female profiles. So the female profiles are actually my wife and Nicholas's girlfriend. So we use their profiles because they don't use them anymore. So we just said that we plugged them in as they work for us. And so they'll go to like our HYDRA account, or they'll go to us as the founders of the business and see that we post content. But those other 2 profiles don't post content ever. So those are just used to do outreaches, right? But probably a good strategy to have them push out some content. So it seems like they're a little bit more active. So we'll have to go and implement that.
But the most important, it's like the leaders of the organization are posting.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, okay, I got it. Yeah, because LinkedIn for me, it's completely different area. I have been active there when I was searching for the job before I become a business owner. So it's definitely, on my end, it was on different way thinking. But now I see that it's a huge potential for the business
huge potential. Yeah, I mean, if you, Nick Shackelford just posted a story today of a screenshot between him and Chase Diamond, and Chase Diamond just got over 4 million, or was it 4 million? Maybe it was 10 million. I think it's 10 million impressions in 1 month from LinkedIn. Absolutely
Wow.
insane. So it is something where you can get some traction, but Chase has been doing it for, years, man, just years, and super consistent and often. So that's something to kind of, if you want to model after anyone, and if you've ever looked at Chase's content before, it's nothing, like, it's good. But in my opinion, like, it's nothing special. Like, he's just super consistent, and
All the time.
he preaches a certain message that's really good. But he's not making like crazy videos that are extremely entertaining. He's just delivering value, right? That's his thing. He delivers value, tries to get people, like, just shows people what he does, right? And so I think that's extremely effective. And once again, it comes back to that time horizon. You have to have a timeline that's pretty long for that to be successful. And I'm pretty sure Chase has been on LinkedIn and doing that stuff for like 5 to 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. So follow suit. Give yourself a long timeline. Just be consistent with it.
Yeah, this is what I right now I'm figuring out in the Twitter. Like, Twitter really becomes such a great platform for all of us. But definitely, it's way to go with the hiring employers, finding the clients, and so on. Regarding coming back to the structure side, because I know that we have like not that much left time, and I want to hear from you the biggest advices in your, like, from your personal experience, and all for sure kind of fails at the beginning. What kind of advices could you give to the business owners at the beginning of their journey when they're trying to build a structure for their team? The top 3 advices on your opinion.
So I think your circle becomes very important when it comes to the people that you're spending time with. I can't remember who I got this from. Maybe it was Alex Hormozy. I don't remember off the top of my head, but credit to whoever it was. But to have some people in your corner that are doing something similar to you, right? They could be competition, right? Doesn't matter. But someone that's doing something similar to you, and you need 3 of them. You need someone that is ahead of you, that you look up to, that's aspirational, that is willing to essentially mentor you. You need someone that's on the same level as you, that's on a similar path, but is very close to what you're doing. And then you need someone that is just getting started, that you can share some of this information and reaffirm your beliefs in what you're doing, right? So you need someone from each part of the spectrum. So someone that's just getting started, someone that is roughly the same level, and someone that is ahead of you a little way. So you always have someone that you're chasing, you always have someone that you're competing against, and you always have someone that you're helping, right? And I think that was one of the best takeaways for me. And once again, I don't remember who said it, but it's something that I kind of look back on of, like, I've always had those people in my corner that I could help, that I could, kind of be competitive with, and we could push each other, obviously in a friendly way. And I've always had people that I'm chasing, right? And I've developed my circle specifically around that because, all of those are drivers to create more impact, right? So that's the first piece. The second piece is, you truly have to learn, and we've said it multiple times, you truly have to learn consistency, right? The game of entrepreneurship is not an easy one. The people that can continue to push and continue to have their emotions untied from the business, especially during the losses and the wins. This is something that Gary Vaynerchuk preaches on all the time. He's like, I'm unemotional even when I win. When I win, I don't care, right? When people praise me, I don't care. Like, I don't listen to that, but I also don't listen to the other side of it as well. When we lose, okay, what's the learning curve? Okay, what do we learn from that mistake? When people bash me, just ignore them, right? So you have to be able to understand both sides of the spectrum and essentially be able to drown out all of the noise so you can work on the things that you need to work on and stay extremely consistent. But inconsistency comes from listening to both sides, right? The praises and the failures and the people that doubt you, right? If you listen to both sides, it creates inconsistency. And then the final piece, in my opinion, I've always been a big believer that you build with someone, not by yourself. I think the solo journey is very difficult. And I'm not saying it's impossible. There's a lot of people that do it solo, but it's more fun and it's a little bit faster and it's a little less stressful when you're building with someone else and you have partners that are on the same journey as you. And I'm not saying you need a bunch of partners, but for me, like, I have Nicholas, and he's the one partner in our business. And literally the day that I brought him on, a lot of my stress and anxiety went away because I shared the burden with somebody else.
You had a second to think about, and it's exactly came from your personal experience, and it's golden. I mean, it's not like, standards, which is like guys are speaking about like somewhere, whatever it is, they read the book and speak about. You were giving 3 advices, which is really practical and speaking from your experience.
Yeah.
And I loved it, really, especially the third one. That's why I asked for 3. Because it's always difficult. I mean, the first always came in mind. Second, a bit harder, but can manage. Third one, I love it. Really appreciate for this answer, man. And last question to you, which I'm asking everyone on our podcast. What will you choose? The journey or end result?
The journey, man. That's the best part of it. It's and that's the thing is the end result always gets pushed out, in my opinion. You there's always an end result that you have in mind, but once you hit that, it's like, okay, what's next type of thing. So it's like we're constantly on this journey. And I think it's important to have an end result in mind. We call it the end game in our business of like, what's our end game? Like, what's the North Star goal? What does it look like? And it's hard for me to like think 10 years in advance. So I normally do like 5. I'm like, all right, like, let's go like 5 years, no constraints. What do I want? Like, there's no limits to this. Let's just build the dream. I actually learned that from Taylor Welch. 5-year, no constraints. That's what he calls it. And I think it's a really cool exercise to be able to build out what you want your life to look like and actually have this in a document. And it is literally, hey, this is what my life looks like in 5 years. This is what we're doing. This is who I'm with. This is how much money I make. This is, these are the assets under my portfolio, right? So you're building out your future life and with no constraints. And even if I hit a fraction of it, it's still going to be an incredible life, right? But I agree with you. The journey is extremely important, and it's fun, man. Like I wouldn't choose any other path right now, only because it's fulfilling to a mission. Which at the end of the day, my mission is to have impact, and our mission currently is eradicating agency poverty. I don't think you have to be poor running an agency, right? And so like that's our mission currently, is eradicating agency poverty, and it will continue to be our mission until hopefully every agency in the world is making good profits. And here's the thing: is profits are not the same for everyone. Some person running a $40,000 per month agency, making 50% profit, bringing in $20K per month, could bring them a ton of fulfillment. And then there's other people, like you got Eddie out there that's stinking shooting for the moon and building a massive agency. Same with Ashton. I think Ashton's North Star goal, as he talked about at the event, is like 2.6 billion or something, or 3.2 billion, something crazy. Like that brings fulfillment to Ashton, but you can't set your goals in your projections based off of other people. You have to do things that, that align with what you want. Right. So I'll leave it at that.
I mean, man, like I in this question, most of the time people are answering the same about the journey, but a couple of people answer the end result. For me, like result could be changed. I mean, you can predict it, you can project it, but the journey is fun. Result is coming, you have another journey because you won't stop on this way. You're going to be
100%. And I get that. I get that side of it because I was kind of thinking like, hey, man, is it really the end result or the journey? I enjoy playing the game. That's what I enjoy. And if I think I ever got to the end result, I'd have to change it because I'd continue just to want to play the game. Right. So, but at the end of the day, I also understand people are like, hey, like I'm doing this and I'm only doing it for this end result. And once I get here, like we're done, like we're rocking. Like this is the end result. Yeah, exactly. I'm out. Which I totally
it was
respect.
Exactly what I told 2 people like who answered to me because they're focusing on out,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, for me, I'm playing this game for fun. Like it's a lifestyle of enjoyment, right? And so for me, like I don't want all the stress. That's why we have a small team. That's why we do, we're not on this super fast growth path. I just don't have that. I don't have that end game in mind of building a massive company that has multiple layers to it. Like we did we did the 25 person team. That was enough stress for me. I'm good. I lost all my hair because of it. So I'm doing things at a little bit slower pace. I'm playing the game that I want to play. And my partner's really aligned with it as well. We have a ton of fun, man. Of course there's still stress. It's running a business. You're always going to have stress running a business, but it is a slower pace. We're just playing our game. And for me, that's why I picked the journey, is because I want to play my game, right? I want to play it the way that I want to play it. And I think sometimes if you have these really lofty goals, you do have to play the game a little bit differently. And it might be the way that you do want to play, but for me, that's why we don't have these huge projections and these huge massive numbers that we're shooting for, because I enjoy the game that I'm playing now, and we are helping a lot of people. So I'm just going to stick on my journey,
Joshua, I love it. I really love the answers and your thoughts, and it's super close to me. I do appreciate for your time today. And I'm more than sure, I'm not hoping, I'm more than sure that the people who are going to be listening this podcast will get a lot of nice teeny values of every single small piece of the company in terms of how to visualize the success and growth of the company, and especially what kind of tools to use in terms of lead gen. I love that as well explanation, because even for me, a couple of things was really nice notes,
Yeah, let's go. I love it.
So thank you so much for your time, for your thoughts, for your experience, and for what you're doing for other companies. So all the details of Joshua you're going to be finding out under this podcast. His Instagram, all his personal details, whatever you needed is going to be provided. And thank you for all the value, man. And I'd love to have another one. Let's just, guys, comment and tell us what you would like to hear more. And in the near future, maybe we're going to be recording another one. Appreciate it, man.
Let's do it. Awesome. Thanks, Anatoliy. Thanks for having me.